A couple of days ago about how now over here in the United Kingdom, certain particular programs are truly struggling. And it's all really down to one thing: ratings, and more importantly, advertising. Advertising rules the roost, whether it be The View, whether it be MSNBC, Morning Joe. I've told you exactly how you can have these opinions, but if the audience decide that they don't like your opinion, they switch off, advertisers stop the money, and then the tap finally switches off. This is the problem though over here in the United Kingdom now for a once much loved morning show that's now embroiled really in scandal and disgrace. All thanks of course to the removal of its star presenter Philip Schofield alongside Holly Willoughby. They ruled the roost on This Morning for many years, and apparently according to them they were kindness itself. Even when they got caught out with the infamous Q-gate, no, it wasn't their fault, it was all down to other people. The editor Martin Frizzell is now moving on for apparently personal reasons, make of that what you will. And now the other side of the coin is they're hoping that this particular individual with a major royal connection might be able to save the day. Let me explain. Morning, good to see you. Thank you so much for your time today. Yes, we're talking of course about this particular programme that should do well. They recently brought in Kat Deely and Ben Shepherd. Kat and Ben were both ex-children's TV presenters. Their idea for this was the fact that if you watched them when you were young, you now might watch them if you're a stay-at-home mum, or indeed, sadly you're unemployed or whatever situation you find yourself in, that you're glued to daytime TV. It's not always your own fault, is it? But of course it's up to them to entertain us. I always find it fascinating, I don't know about you, when they do the cookery slots and you think, who's got that? I've got a tin of spaghetti hoops and a half a loaf of bread. You kind of think, get real, make meals that are actually affordable. When they say things like, oh, a bit of tarragon, you think, oh yes, let me look for that. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, if you've got the money, great, but then you wouldn't be watching that programme. It's meant to be about budgeting and looking out for people. Now, is this the right person to turn the ratings around? Because recently she appeared on the programme alongside one of its presenters, Dermot O'Leary, to great success. Now, as I told you at the time, it was very expensive for ITV to bring her in. But the idea now to try and rescue the programme is something very similar to what they do in America. Over on the Today Show, basically what they have is like different hours. So the second hour, third hour, and there's different presenters. Costly in my book and doesn't necessarily do anything to gain any more ratings. But that's exactly how NBC works. And I can tell you because I work for them. But the bottom line is this, that they're hoping that Sarah, Duchess of York, will be able to come in and do either an hour or the final 30 minutes. And this could be a very special chat, maybe a sit down with an author, a one-to-one problem in the news, that sort of thing. Tricky because of course we don't necessarily want to have an opinion for somebody associated with the British monarchy. You get the picture. But of course This Morning are pretty desperate, and she was popular. People kind of liked her off-the-cuff remarks and her real honesty. But now for ITV, what's problematic is they have to decide, could they afford the Duchess on a more regular basis, in the hope that they could pull in some much needed revenue, advertising, that sort of stuff, and finally save the programme, ultimately changing it from the dark days of Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby. Bosses are thinking like this, but will Sarah feel the same way? As ever though, it's always about the bottom line, the mighty dollar, right? So could This Morning be Sarah's saviour too? Either way, it's a developing story. When I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of Parliament.